I'm joined today by His Excellency Abdul Aziz Al Ghurair of Mashreq. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Let me begin by asking you your views on the UAE economy and how you see it evolving over the next few years.
I'm pretty optimistic about the future of the UAE economy for many reasons. One is we've been able to diversify our economy, build the infrastructure, and attract all investment in the region, and it became really a hub. So we will deal with the uncertainty we will have in the future. We have the ability to respond fast to any challenges, and our projection for the future is our track record. And we have grown from small economy to a very large economy, and our banking sector is the largest in the Arab world. It's 2.5 trillion dirham in assets. So that's a success story.
Make some very good points there, but in terms of challenges, perhaps the biggest challenge the region faced over the last few years is the roller coaster ride the oil price has been on, because ultimately the Middle East and the GCC in particular lives or dies in terms of its economic performance by how the oil price is doing. How did that affect Mashreq?
For Mashreq, what we had a strategy is to diversify our income. One, geography. So our income now, 25% of our revenue comes from outside UAE. Second is also we have a sector diversification in the UAE. So we're not dependent on a single sector. So being diversified within Mashreq is also great. Third is, I think for the economy and for all institutions, it's the best thing ever happened to us. The oil price has come down, because it gave us a wake-up call for our government to start looking alternative solutions, for our institutions, for our economy, not to be dependent on oil solely. So therefore, UAE has been successful in diversifying their economy. So 70% of our revenue come from non-oil, and they are targeting to almost reach 90%. And our institution now looking also inside how we can improve productivity, cut cost, and become competitive not only locally, but to be able to compete internationally.
I was told recently by one banker in the region that as things are changing, there is a tidal wave of regulation, both national and international, and technological change coming. This has got to be a huge challenge for the bank in the future. How are you preparing for that?
Well, since our economy is growing so fast, some regulation is encouraged and recommended, as long as there is enough consultation takes place. So all these regulations must be, use the consultative approach with the impacted party. So we do welcome that. I mean, I'll give you an example. Digital payment. 10 years ago, we never have digital payment. Today, there is digital payment. So we expect our central bank, who has come up with digital payment regulation. We want to have that, so every party knows their, the rules. Mortgages. It was growing slowly until it becomes such a sizable business. So our central bank have put some regulation to protect both sides, the borrower, the banking system, the customer, and there is complete transparency in the process. So this is protecting everybody. So we do welcome some of these regulation. Sometimes we also ask for some regulation. Even we go to our regulators, ask us, please come up with some regulation on this, because it's important to have our system completed.
You need a framework to work in.
A framework, yeah. I mean, like netting for banking, we don't have. So now we approached our central bank, we have approached our Ministry of Finance, and they have accepted that this is important to infrastructure, to have it in the UAE. And we're asking our government, having regulation is great, but there should be periodical review of those regulation and laws. If it is 5 years, 10 years old law, let's tweak it and freshen it up. So that also must continue to happen throughout the years.
Okay.
Now, in the technology side, of course, the world is seeing a revolution in technology. And UAE is a leader in the region in adopting this technology. I mean, you can see it from many years ago, 20 years ago, the e-gate at the airport, the first airport in the world to adopt that. And now that had set the fire in the country. And now, many years ago, all transactions took place in branches. Today at Mashreq, 90% of our transaction happens outside the teller, outside the branches. This is a phenomenal change from the customer behavior, and customer now accepting and sometimes encouraging us to look for alternative solution. So these are happening, and banking system, Mashreq is also one of the pioneer in driving this technology shift.
Well, indeed, Mashreq has a history of a number of firsts being introduced into banking in the country. You mentioned earlier the diversification of the bank domestically in terms of the sectors you cover, and also the international diversification. What are your international ambitions, and how do you see the operations outside the UAE growing?
Well, we're fortunate that we have 25% of our revenue comes from outside UAE, and from New York to London, Egypt, or Gulf, or India, Hong Kong, we have a diversified, and we'll continue to grow this location. Basically, we want to grow organically on those outside the UAE.
Let me ask you to put a different hat on now. You talked also about the size of the banking marketplace in the UAE, how this is the largest banking sector within the region. As the chairman of the UAE Banks Federation, what are the concerns that you're seeing coming out of the industry at large? I suppose some of these refer back to your discussions with the central bank.
Well, there's always, at the UBF, trying to work as a partner with the central bank, and our relationship has been outstanding. And there is a great dialogue. It takes place back and forth. We have our subcommittees of almost 18 subcommittees working, and there is also interaction with the central bank. And we have an excellent relationship with the central bank. Now, from our side also, we're pushing to enhance the brand of banking in the UAE. The UBF have initiated a customer complaint resolution system. Now, us and the central bank have shared it with the banking system. So you have a process when a customer have an issue. There is very transparent complaint resolution system. And I think that's good for the customer, for our regulator, for our government, and our banking, because all banks have good intention to resolve some issue. Yes, something will go wrong, but we should also be prepared to resolve when things go wrong. Second is we also want to have a self-imposed discipline, which we are working on ethical selling. It is very important to set the guideline in the banking community, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, and put a common standard. So no individual, because one bank can spoil the rest of the banking system. So now we're working on it. We have engaged a major consultant to come up with us and how we have to adapt this protocol on ethical selling. And I think that will enhance the image of the banking. And we want to communicate to the government, to our regulator, to our customer. The banking system is here to help everybody. We want to help the industry. We want to help the customer to grow along with us.
Well, banking is a service industry. You provide a service and a facilitation to others to achieve their ambitions, whether that's an individual or a corporate or indeed a government. And to that extent, what are the opportunities for new product areas? You mentioned 90% of transactions taking place outside branches. Is this where the big growth is still going to come in terms of products and services and ability to do transactions, whatever those transactions are for customers?
Let's start with corporate. Now, Mashreq have put in a system for many years that a corporate client can do every single transaction without visiting us, without even using paper. It's all done electronically from his office, whatever. So that's one, I think, big revolution happening on the corporate side. Second is now we are connecting our system with the client system. We call it host-to-host connectivity. So the moment he push his keyboard, it comes from his system to our system directly, without doing anything else. So it is a peace of mind, error-free, and also on the reconciliation, our system and the client system can reconcile. So this is big revolution happening on the corporate side. On the retail side, of course, the fast adapting retail customer on the mobile. Our bulk of the transaction now happen on mobile banking.
Okay.
Then ATM, then online. At one time, online was top. Now online is declining. People don't want to have to go back to home or back to office to do a transaction. They want to do it while they are driving or eating.
Well,
whatever.
Ideally not while they're driving.
Maybe not driving, but while they're eating or whatever, and anywhere, any place. So mobile banking is taking off. Then we have launched Mashreq Wallet. Mashreq Wallet, now your ability to pay from your phone to any transaction. So it is not only pay to other customer as well. So at the merchant and customer to customer. So this is going to replace paper. We have just launched a pilot branch where taking automation to the next level and migrating a lot of manual transaction which happen at the counter or the customer service counter or the teller to automation. And to our surprise, our customer adopting it very fast. And now from a branch of 15 people, now our branch is 6 people, because all that happening electronically. And we've seen customer bringing their friends to tell them, look what Mashreq Bank has done or is doing now to a transaction. And and these customers are adopting very fast.
You must be making significant investments in new technology and new software to be able to achieve this.
Absolutely. And why we're doing that, we want to give the customer convenience, and we want to also give him extended hours. So in the past, he can encash checks only when the branch is open. Now we have automated machines. Now a customer can encash his checks until 10 p.m. So these, when you add a new service to the product, customer accept it and adopt it. So I think these will move very fast. We are using robotic and artificial intelligence to replace simple transaction, and we will see in the next 5 years more and more simple repetitive jobs getting replaced by robotic and artificial intelligence. Today on our chat board, if you come and say, what's my balance? All you have to tell us, what's my balance? And they tell you, your balance is it. What was my last 10 transaction? They will tell you what was it. So you can chat with the computer, and there's an artificial intelligence behind it, understand what you ask, and reply you exactly what you want.
Okay, this is how the bank interacts with its customers. If we can look at the bank's place within the industry, the financial services sector at large, let me turn to the capital markets. Do you see anything that needs to be done to improve them and improve the functionality of capital markets in the UAE?
I think on the capital market, it is becoming critical that UAE federal government should start issuing bond.
You need a yield curve.
Yeah, we need a yield curve. That will set the pricing mechanism for all other lenders and borrowers. And that's used as a benchmark. We need that to happen. Now, we discussed the netting law, which now the UAE government is working on it. These two fundamental pillars for capital market is critical.
Particularly as we look forward, obviously the other point about oil and the change in how people view oil as part of the economy and the reliance on oil is we have taxes coming. We have a realization that not everybody's going to get a government job, and people have to pay for their futures and have to plan for their futures and prepare for their futures, which means there has to be a capital market, there has to be a place to invest, there has to be a place to be sure of where your money is and understand how it's going to perform and what's going to be available to you in the future. All that comes back ultimately to the government and to the government giving that push to the capital market.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on. We've talked about various areas of the bank's activities. What is the single biggest challenge for the future?
I think from the banking point of view, and I will say it is our opportunity, is how the banking system can work with the government agencies to encourage young Emirati to start their own business. Enough of joining government jobs. I think there is enough opportunity in the UAE for young Emirati to start their new business, and how banking along with the government agency can work together to also support young Emiratis' SME business. Because I think the future is in this small SME who will become a large investor in the UAE, and we need to support them.
Every big business started as a small business.
My family started when they were small business as well.
And speaking of your business, what are your ambitions for Mashreq in the short and medium term?
I think for Mashreq, we'll continue to strive to be the leader in service, in customer convenience, and providing customer a wide range of product and services, hopefully at their convenience, at a very competitive price.
And just to round up, I'm going to use the same kind of phraseology again. For Mashreq, what are the key opportunities, what are the key challenges right now and over the longer term? And I suppose I want to say, you've got a big project coming up that's coming to fruition this year.
Most banks, they want to look how can we grow, how my market share can grow by X in the next 5 years. So that's the challenge, growing your market share at a profitable level.
Abdul Aziz Al Ghurair, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.